Improve yourself every day. Not to compete with others, not to prove your worth, not to meet society's timelines, but to honor the life you have been given. Improvement does not always look loud or dramatic. Sometimes improvement is simply choosing hope when giving up feels easier. Sometimes it is choosing patience when anger wants to take over. Education begins when we understand this simple truth: growth is internal before it is external. The first lesson we must learn is self-acceptance. You cannot improve what you constantly hate. Many people believe self-improvement starts with criticism, but real learning starts with compassion. Accept where you are today, your limitations, your fears, your unfinished journey. Acceptance is not surrender, it is awareness. When you accept your reality, you gain the clarity to change it. Education teaches us that awareness is the first step of transformation. Life will test you. Pain will visit you without permission. Loss, failure, and rejection are not signs that you are weak. They are lessons assigned to you. Pain is a teacher that does not speak softly, but it teaches deeply. When something hurts, ask not why me, but what is this trying to teach me? Improvement happens when pain turns into wisdom instead of bitterness. This is emotional education, learning how to grow through hardship rather than breaking under it. Many people wait to improve their lives when everything becomes perfect. But perfection is an illusion. Progress is built on consistency, not perfection. Improving yourself every day does not mean making giant leaps. It means reading one page, learning one new idea, correcting one habit, controlling one negative reaction. Education shows us that small efforts, repeated daily, compound into extraordinary change. Even 1% better every day is still growth. Your mindset is your most powerful classroom. What you believe about yourself decides how far you will go. If you believe you are broken, you will live broken. If you believe you are learning, you will keep moving forward. A growth mindset understands that failure is feedback, not a verdict. Improving yourself every day means training your mind to see obstacles as opportunities for learning. This mental discipline is one of the highest forms of education. Growth is not automatic, it is intentional. Every day, life asks you a question: will you repeat yesterday or will you refine yourself today? Improvement requires conscious choices, choosing discipline over excuses, learning over comfort, reflection over reaction. Education is not limited to classrooms. Life itself is the greatest teacher, and every day is a new lesson if you are willing to learn. Finally, remember this: your journey is not just about you. When you improve yourself, you inspire others silently. Your resilience becomes someone else's courage. Your learning becomes someone else's hope. Your story carries purpose beyond your pain. Improve yourself every day, not because life is easy, but because your growth can light the way for others who are still searching for strength. And remember, your circumstances do not define your future. Your choices do. Improve yourself every day, gently, intentionally, and courageously. That is how lives change. Self-acceptance is where improvement truly begins, and many people misunderstand this. They think accepting themselves means settling, lowering standards, or giving up on growth. But real acceptance is not weakness, it is honesty. It is looking at yourself without filters, without lies, without pretending to be someone you are not, and saying, this is where I am right now. You cannot educate a mind that is busy fighting itself. When you reject who you are, all your energy goes into shame, comparison, and self-punishment. Growth needs space, and self-acceptance creates that space. You don't improve by hating yourself into change. That never works. Criticism may push you for a moment, but compassion keeps you moving for a lifetime. When you accept yourself, you stop running from your flaws and start learning from them. You stop asking what is wrong with me and start asking what can I learn about myself. That shift is powerful. That is education at its deepest level, self-awareness. When you understand yourself, your patterns, your triggers, your fears, you gain control over them instead of being controlled by them. Self-acceptance also teaches you patience. You realize that growth takes time and that rushing your journey only creates burnout. You begin to respect your pace instead of comparing it to others. Everyone's life syllabus is different. Some people learn lessons early, some learn them late, but no lesson is wasted if you are willing to learn. When you accept your timeline, you stop feeling behind and start feeling focused. This mindset alone can change how you approach goals, failure, and discipline. Accepting yourself does not mean ignoring your weaknesses. It means facing them without shame. Shame makes people hide, and hidden problems never heal. Acceptance allows you to say, yes, I struggle here, and because I admit it, I can work on it. Improvement comes from clarity, not denial. When you accept your emotional wounds, your mistakes, your limitations, you turn them into classrooms instead of prisons. Every weakness becomes a subject you can study, understand, and improve. There will be days when you feel broken, when progress feels invisible, when your efforts seem small. On those days, acceptance keeps you grounded. It reminds you that you are still worthy even when you are unfinished. This is important because people who believe they are worthy work harder, not less. They invest in themselves. They learn, they grow, they don't quit on themselves at the first sign of difficulty. Self-acceptance also frees you from living for validation. When you accept yourself, you stop chasing approval and start chasing alignment. You begin improving for growth, not applause. This kind of motivation is powerful because it lasts. It is not dependent on praise or recognition. It comes from within. And internal motivation is the strongest fuel for long-term improvement. Listen carefully to this advice. Talk to yourself like you are someone you are responsible for teaching, not someone you are responsible for punishing. Improvement is an educational process, not a courtroom. You are not on trial. You are in training. Accept who you are today so you can teach yourself how to become better tomorrow. Pain is not your enemy, even though it arrives like one. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid pain, escape pain, silence pain. But the truth is, pain carries lessons comfort will never teach you. If life only gave you ease, you would never build strength, depth, or wisdom. Pain interrupts you so you can pay attention. It shakes you so you can wake up. When something hurts deeply, it is because something important is happening inside you. Something is being reshaped. Something is asking to be understood. Stop asking why pain came into your life and start asking what it is trying to train you for. Pain exposes your limits, but it also reveals your resilience. You discover how strong you are, not on easy days, but on days when you feel like you cannot go on and still choose to take one more step. That choice educates your soul. Pain teaches you empathy, patience, humility, and perspective. These are lessons no textbook can give you. Every hardship carries information. Failure teaches you where preparation was missing. Loss teaches you the value of presence. Rejection teaches you self-worth beyond validation. Pain forces you to sit with yourself, to reflect, to grow internally. When you don't run from pain, it transforms into wisdom. When you run from it, it repeats itself. Life will keep teaching the same lesson until you are willing to learn it. Understand this clearly. Pain does not mean you are weak. It means you are human. Strength is not the absence of pain. Strength is the ability to carve it without letting it poison your heart. There are two ways pain can shape you. It can make you bitter, or it can make you better. The difference lies in your response. If you complain, you stay stuck. If you reflect, you evolve. Pain becomes productive when you let it educate you instead of define you. Many people allow pain to turn into identity. They say, this is who I am because of what happened to me. That is a dangerous lesson to learn. Pain is something you experience, not something you become. When you learn from pain, you outgrow it. When you cling to it, you live inside it. Improvement begins when you stop romanticizing suffering and start extracting meaning from it. Use pain as a mirror. Ask yourself, what habits need to change, what boundaries need to be built, what mindset needs to be upgraded. Pain often points to areas where growth is required. It is honest. It does not flatter you. It tells you the truth about your choices, your attachments, and your patterns. If you listen carefully, pain becomes guidance. Remember this advice deeply. Don't rush to heal just to feel normal again. Heal to become wiser. Heal to become stronger. Heal to become more aware. The goal is not to erase pain. The goal is to rise with insight, because when pain becomes your teacher, it stops being your punishment and starts becoming your preparation. Most people wait for the perfect moment to change their lives. And while they are waiting, life keeps moving without them. They believe that improvement requires big breakthroughs, massive motivation, or dramatic transformations, but real growth does not work that way. Consistency is the quiet force that builds everything meaningful. IT is not loud, it does not demand attention, and it rarely feels exciting, but it is unstoppable. Perfection impresses for a moment. Consistency changes you forever. Stop putting pressure on yourself to be flawless. Perfection is fragile. The moment something goes wrong, perfection collapses and you feel like a failure. Consistency is flexible. It allows mistakes, bad days, low energy, and still keeps you moving forward. When you choose consistency, you give yourself permission to be human while still being committed. That mindset alone can save you from quitting too early. Understand this deeply. Doing something imperfectly every day is far more powerful than doing something perfectly once in a while. Reading a few pages daily teaches you more than finishing one book in a rush. Practicing a little every day builds skill faster than intense effort followed by long breaks. Small actions repeated daily train your mind, discipline your habits, and reshape your identity. Over time, you don't just do the work. You become the kind of person who does the work. Consistency also builds trust with yourself. Every time you show up, even when you don't feel like it, you send a message to your mind that you are reliable. That trust becomes confidence. Not the loud, arrogant kind, but the quiet confidence that says, I can depend on myself. Many people lack self-belief not because they are incapable, but because they have repeatedly broken promises to themselves. Consistency repairs that relationship. There will be days when motivation disappears. Do not panic. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unstable. Consistency is a decision. It does not wait for excitement. It works with discipline. On hard days, consistency says just do the minimum, but do not stop. Even showing up tired is better than disappearing. Progress never demands intensity, it demands presence. Consistency also protects you from burnout. When you chase perfection, you push too hard, too fast, and eventually collapse. When you focus on steady effort, you build endurance. You learn how to pace yourself, how to recover, how to keep going long-term. Improvement is not a sprint. It is a lifelong process, and only consistency can sustain it. Listen to this advice carefully. Stop underestimating small efforts. What feels insignificant today becomes powerful over time. One healthy choice, one honest conversation, one focused hour, one controlled reaction may not seem life-changing in the moment, but repeated daily, they transform your character. Life rewards those who stay, not those who start strong and disappear. When you commit to consistency, improvement stops being a struggle and starts becoming a habit. And once growth becomes a habit, success becomes a side effect. Your mindset is the lens through which you see your life, and whatever lens you use will decide how heavy or how hopeful your journey feels. Two people can face the same situation, the same loss, the same challenge, yet walk away with completely different futures. The difference is not luck, talent, or background. It is the story they tell themselves. If your inner voice is constantly telling you that you are weak, unlucky, or incapable, your actions will slowly start matching that belief. Change the mindset and behavior follows. You must understand this clearly. Your mind is always listening. every word you repeat, add internally becomes an instruction. When you say, "I can't," your brain looks for reasons to stop. When you say, "I am learning," your brain looks for solutions. This is not motivational talk, this is education. Neuroscience shows that repeated thoughts shape neural pathways. What you think repeatedly becomes familiar, and what becomes familiar feels true. That is how mindset quietly builds destiny. A strong mindset does not mean you never feel fear or doubt. It means you do not allow fear to make your decisions. Fear is a signal, not a command. Doubt is a question, not an answer. When you train your mindset, you learn how to observe these emotions without obeying them. You stop reacting automatically and start responding consciously. This ability alone separates leaders from followers, learners from victims. Your mindset decides how you interpret failure. If you see failure as proof that you are not good enough, you will stop trying. If you see failure as information, you will improve. Every setback carries data. It shows you what worked, what didn't, and what needs adjustment. A growth mindset treats life like a classroom, not a courtroom. You are not being judged, you are being taught. Be careful what you feed your mind. Your environment, the content you consume, the people you listen to, all influence your thinking. If you surround yourself with negativity, your mindset will shrink. If you surround yourself with learning, reflection, and purpose-driven conversations, your mindset will expand. This is why protecting your mental space is not selfish, it is strategic. A focused mind creates a focused life. You also need to understand that mindset is built through practice, not wishing. You train it every time you pause before reacting, every time you reframe a negative thought, every time you choose discipline over comfort. Mental strength grows the same way physical strength does, through resistance. Life will apply pressure, and your mindset decides whether that pressure breaks you or builds you. Here is the advice you must carry with you. Never let a temporary situation convince you of a permanent conclusion. What you are going through is not who you are. Your current chapter is not your final identity. When you protect your mindset, you protect your future, because the way you think today is quietly shaping the life you will live tomorrow. Every single day, life places a choice in your hands, even on the days that feel ordinary, boring, or exhausting. Growth does not happen by accident. And it does not happen simply because time passes. Time can either mature you or trap you in the same cycle, and the difference is intention. Improving yourself every day means waking up with awareness that your actions, reactions, and decisions are shaping the person you are becoming. If you don't choose growth deliberately, comfort will choose for you. Intentional growth begins with responsibility. You stop blaming circumstances, people, or the past for where you are. Not because they didn't affect you, but because staying there gives them control over your future. Responsibility is empowering. It says, I may not control everything that happens to me, but I control how I respond, how I learn, and how I move forward. This mindset turns you from a passive observer of life into an active participant in your own development. Daily improvement requires company. Anxious decisions in small moments. Choosing to pause instead of reacting. Choosing to listen instead of assuming. Choosing discipline over short-term comfort. These choices may seem insignificant, but they are the building blocks of character. Life is not transformed by rare heroic moments. It is shaped by repeated intentional actions. The way you speak to people, manage your time, handle stress, and treat yourself when no one is watching is where real growth happens. There will be days when growth feels uncomfortable, slow, and unrewarding. That is normal. Growth often feels like tension because it stretches you beyond familiarity. Comfort keeps you the same. Growth asks you to change. When something feels difficult, it is often a sign that learning is taking place. Do not mistake discomfort for danger. Discomfort is frequently the doorway to improvement. Intentional growth also requires reflection. You cannot improve what you do not examine. Taking time to reflect on your actions, your mistakes, and your progress turns experience into wisdom. Without reflection, you repeat lessons. With reflection, you evolve. Ask yourself regularly, what did I learn today? Where did I improve, and where can I do better tomorrow? This practice sharpens your awareness and accelerates growth. Be patient with your progress, but ruthless with your commitment. Growth is not about quick results. It is about sustainable change. Some days your effort will feel invisible, but invisible effort still counts. Seeds grow underground long before they break the surface. Trust the process even when you cannot see immediate outcomes. Here is advice you must remember. Do not wait to feel ready. Read, "Ease comes from action, not before it." Start where you are, with what you have, and commit to learning every day. When growth becomes a daily choice instead of a future plan, improvement becomes inevitable, and your life begins to reflect the discipline, awareness, and courage you practice consistently. Your life is not random, and your experiences are not meaningless, even the ones that hurt, even the ones you wish never happened. Every chapter you survive adds depth to your voice, and that voice is needed somewhere beyond you. When you understand that your story has purpose, self-improvement stops being selfish and starts becoming a responsibility. You are not growing just to feel better, you are growing so that what you have learned can one day lift someone else. Many people underestimate the power of lived experience. You may think your struggles disqualify you, but in reality they prepare you. People do not connect with perfection, they connect with honesty. They connect with resilience. When someone sees that you faced darkness and still chose growth, they find permission to believe in their own strength. Your story becomes evidence that healing and progress are possible. This is why it matters how you respond to life. The way you rise, the way you learn, the way you rebuild, sends a silent message to those watching you, even when you don't realize anyone is watching. Improvement is contagious. When you choose courage, someone else learns courage. When you choose discipline, someone else learns that change is achievable. Your consistency becomes someone else's hope. Do not silence your story out of fear or shame. Shame grows in silence, but purpose grows in express. Sion. You don't need a stage, a microphone, or millions of followers. Purpose shows up in conversations, in kindness, in leadership by example. Sometimes the most powerful impact happens quietly, when someone sees how you handle pressure, loss, or failure with dignity. That is education without words. Understand this advice deeply. Your pain does not lose meaning when you heal. Healing does not erase your past, it transforms it into wisdom. What once hurt you can now guide you. What once broke you can now build others. When you improve yourself, you turn survival into service, and that gives your growth direction. Living with purpose also gives you strength on difficult days. When you know your life matters beyond your own comfort, quitting becomes harder. Purpose anchors you when motivation fades. It reminds you that your effort today might be the reason someone else does not give up tomorrow. That awareness fuels resilience. Never believe the lie that your story is too small to matter. Impact is not measured by scale, it is measured by sincerity. One honest example can change a life. One transformed mindset can influence generations. When you commit to improving yourself every day, you are not just shaping your future, you are shaping influence, legacy, and meaning that travels far beyond what you can see